Welcome to session number 5. My name is Patrick Cook. I want to continue talking about why we pursue Mandelbulb3D art, or I should say Mandelbulb fractal art. All right? And previous sessions I was talking about the process of discovery and the process of accepting and rejecting. You're going to reject more often than you accept. And I was talking about when the graphic pops out, you'll know it, and then you'll shift in your paradigm. You'll experience a paradigm shift where all of a sudden you say, "Wow, now what can I do with that?" The graphic that we have on the screen right now, all right, this is something that popped out. I mean, it was me just messing around with the properties. All right, and all of a sudden I get this image here. Now, what does this mean? All right, where's the story? Where's the story? And that's the topic I wanted to address in this particular session. All right, where's the story? Now, look, a graphic image is meaningless to the human without some sort of an association. All right, let's just take this graphic here for a moment here. Let me pull this out here so we can see a little bit more of it. All right, what's the human association to this particular graphic? Well, I mean, we got what look to be like tentacles. Okay, this right in here looks to be like some sort of a starfish or something. We've got, there's some depth in this, all right? We got like these tentacles here that seem to connect, almost as if there's a connection between maybe some sort of a creature here, maybe a creature here, another one here. So it almost looks like a group of some sort of an organic creature, living creature, all right, that is just kind of in space doing its thing. All right, it just kind of, it looks alive, it looks organic. There is a sense that there's movement here. There's a sense that there's a community of these things. All right, the colors are muted. All right, it's almost like that a life form doesn't always dazzle with reds and greens and blues and stuff. Some do. But this one right here seems to be a creature that's sort of like maybe in the mud or underground, or doesn't really need to have a whole lot of colors for maybe camouflage or whatever. I'm finding the story. All right. The last minute I was finding the story. Is there a story here? Well, yes, there is, in my opinion. Somebody else might look at that and just see a whole bunch of wavy lines and it doesn't mean anything to them. But for me, there's a story behind that. Well, there's a story in that. Now, I didn't go looking for this story. All right. The graphic popped up. The software didn't know that it was creating a story. I didn't ask it to create a story. This is not artificial intelligence. I didn't ask it to give me a story of a living worm-like creature, that's undulating. I didn't ask for that. And that's the interesting thing about this generative art. You're not asking for a particular story. You might get a story. Most of the time, you're not going to get a story, and that will be a reject. Sometimes a graphic pops up and you have an association. You say, hey, that looks like a creature, a living organism that looks like a creature. And you say, I'll bet my viewers will see it that way too. All right. The human wants to find an association with a graphic. They want to understand it. Now that is a powerful thing for an artist, whatever your tool set might be, a paintbrush or generative art software program. You know that the human wants to find a meaning behind an image. They want to find a meaning. Now, whether they can or not is not something you're in control of. In photography, all right, we take the camera and we control the story by how we compose it, all right, by where we position ourselves with the camera, by the frame. How much of the scene are we taking in, or how much of the scene are we restricting? You see, we photographers tell the story by finding a composition that elicits an emotion or guides the viewer of the photograph to help understand what the photographer was trying to tell you. And that's done with framing and positioning and object placement and angles of view. All right. It's the same thing here with this generative art. The difference is that the software will throw an image at you, and then you need to figure out what it means. If you can figure out what it means, you've got a head start, because now you can help position it so that other people can understand it as well. All right. So not only do you look for stories, all right, when they show up, you say, hey, oh, that's a story. I can tell a story with that, or I can tell myself a story with that. And then you say, how can I use this graphic to tell other people a story that I think is in here? All right. Now, you can do that in a couple different ways, okay? You can, well, I mean, you could take the image exactly like that, and you can get that into some sort of a medium that other people will view it. It could be a digital up on the internet. It could be a print. And you can certainly take this image and you can crop it. You can blow it up and expand it. You can certainly change the coloring to elicit more of a different type of a story. It depends upon what you want to do. I mean, I can come in here and I can, let's say, I go in my lighting tab, and let's say I want to, all right, I want to brighten everything here, okay? All right. Or let's say that I want to go over to the ambient. All right, let's modify the depth here of the color. I'm sorry, the depth of the ambient shadowing. Okay, that's okay. There's the ambient right here. All right, I think you get my point. Is that I can come in here and I can use the tools of the Mandelbulb3D application to help me tell the story. I mean, you're looking at the technical aspects of it as well. I mean, you want it to be, you want the main object to be fairly well lit. The more light you have, the more details will come out, but too much light and the details start to get lost. All right, because right here, you can notice here that, all right, the details are lost in here because the light is too much. So the light is so saturated that the details are lost, okay? You're also looking for shadowing, all right? And the shadowing will help you kind of accentuate the depth. You see these tentacle-like graphic, looks like it's off in the distance somewhere. Okay, your shadowing has a lot to do with that. All right. Let's see. See, I mean, I can really accentuate the shadows. When you have shadows, you use shadows to obscure or hide some of the details. You don't want to give your viewer too much detail. You want the viewer's imagination to do some of the work. In other words, what's down there? My God, it just goes off in the distance. It seems to go off forever. What's down in there? That's strange. Don't tell your story to too much detail. All right, look, we're out of time on this session. Let's pick this discussion up in session number 6. I'll see you there.